here we go. I'm Barb. This is Lost and Floss, episode, oh, I forgot to look. I think it's 43, 44? Okay, I looked. This is episode 43. It is June 3rd, 2020. Hi, FlossTube. This is Barb, and this is Barb, and this is Lost and Floss. That sounds stupid. Okay, I gotta get this worked out. Okay, let's start over. Redo. Hi, FlossTube. This is, oh, no. Okay, I got it. Hi, FlossTube. This is Lost and Floss, and I'm Barb. See? I'm coming to you today to talk to you about my cross stitch. And of course there might be a story or two thrown in, because that's just what you get with me. So today we're at a new location. I thought I would show you my little patriotic shelf going on here. I haven't gotten my full-size stitches, which will go on the top shelf, and maybe get rid of some of the cutesy stuff out yet, but so last year I showed this little drum that I got at Goodwill, and my intention was to leave this side, but this side with the paw on it, I was going to put stitchery over it. Well, that didn't happen yet, but in showing it last year, I was rather confused about the paw print on it. And so one of our viewers nicely wrote in and let me know that she thinks it was a drum that went with a Boyd's Bear, which was, I guess, collectible at one time. I don't really know anything about them, but that at least explained the paw print mystery. The other thing I wanted to show you is one of my first finishing attempts. Oh my Lord. Okay, so I didn't even use mat board. Let's see, it was like a shoe stand or something. It was such a horrendous experience. I thought, I don't know, how do people ever get these things to look nice? So I distinctly remember trying to cut the cardboard with like a regular scissors, paper scissors, and that not going well. It was just a hot mess. I think originally I had foam core and that wasn't working out well. So finally I got out my bread knife and that at least cut through what I needed to cut through. But I just wanted to show this just because in 2 years you can learn a lot about finishing, and it's not like you even really need to know how to sew. I mean, it comes in handy a little bit, but for this kind of stuff it's all really like kindergarten cut and paste. So anyways, but the real reason I'm in the foyer today is I wanted to talk about making cording. So most of you have seen Vonna, Twisted Stitcher. It's a great tutorial about making cording. And part of her process is she attaches the cording to a hook. Well, of course, I think last year was the first time I attempted cording, and at the time I didn't have a hook. So I got my husband to hold it and successfully made some cording. Finally, I saw some hooks like the paste-on kind at the dollar store, so I picked them up, but was trying to figure out where I wanted to put them in my sewing room. I didn't really want them on my bookcase, but you know, that was an option. Well, anyways, last night my husband was gone and I wanted to work on a finish and make some cording. And so I'm like looking around the house for something heavy to hold the cording down, and I walked through the foyer and what did I see? Ta-da! Not one, not two, but 6 hooks. So I proceeded to make, I don't know, several sets of cording, and honestly, it works great. And no need to have a dedicated hook. It's actually just something that we have here anyways. So, but now I am going to move back to my regular space. I guess it's going to be my regular space until I find someplace better. And I will show you what I've been working on. And we're back. So made the move to the upstairs, and hopefully this will work out. It's probably the worst time of day because the sunlight is like streaming through the windows fiercely. So I had to pull the curtain closed, and we'll see if that works with the amount of light. But anyways, here we go. Whips. What whips have I been working on? This is such a little start, but I'm going to count it started. My plan is maybe to get the barn done before I put this away. But this is May Prairie Schooler. And it's such a tiny bit, but it's a start. And I don't know if you can see this, but maybe here. I think that, well, I know I had some older DMC, and I think the die lots changed. So you can see some, wait, no, that's variegation between the two sections, but it doesn't bother me enough that I'm going to rip it out. I think it just kind of gives you the look of an overdyed floss. I guess now would be a good time to mention, I am planning to do most of the months. I don't have any of them fully finished yet, but I found this, I don't know what you call it, I guess like a little wall shelf thing. Another Goodwill purchase. But what I'm going to do is cut mat board for each month to fit in this shape. Now there's going to be a little extra at the bottom, so I have to figure out what I'm going to do with that. But these are the months that I finished last year. I have June done. And this I did on 28 count Monaco that I coffee tea dyed, a la Priscilla and Chelsea's tutorial. It just fits for the width, but I will have extra space at the bottom. So I'm trying to figure out maybe if I can piece some fabrics together or kind of give it a little quilt effect. I just don't know if that's going to be too busy. I have this fabric too that I was thinking maybe I could just have that at the bottom because it won't show on the sides, or maybe have some at the top, some at the bottom, and then maybe, I don't know, throw some buttons on there or something to fill up the space. We'll see what I come up with. And the other one that I've completely finished, well, I guess I have 3 of them done already because I have December too, but I'm not going to show that one because that's a while off. But this is the July one. This really is one of my favorite stitches. I just love everything that's going on in there. So hopefully maybe by my next video I'll have that figured out and I'll be able to show you. Now, as long as we're on Prairie Schooler, still plugging away on Christmas Eve. There, that's better. Last video, I thought I was almost done, but I failed to see that I had Santa's bag, the bear, the little guy dangling off the back. I put some more words in, did a little more snow. So it's getting there. And then, of course, the snowflake issue. And someone suggested, you know, it didn't have to be snowing. And I'm like, well, that is true. That might be the approach I take. Where Hearts Rest, Brenda Gervais. This is just such a beautiful, beautiful chart. I love it. I love how everything just kind of flows together. To be honest, when I first got this chart, it kind of scared me. I thought, oh, this seems much more complicated. And once again, I guess it proves you can really make progress in a year or two of stitching. So this is, I know my light's not good. How far I got, basically knocked out the S and the T, the birds, and have some fill-in work. I'm doing it 2/2, which is opposite the chart directions, because I am using 32 count sand and felt like I wanted more of the color to show. Little House Needleworks, Spring ABCs. This one's kind of a pain in my side. So the problem when you start changing colors is it doesn't always turn out how you think it's going to turn out. So I'm getting there, but I'm at the point where I'm really kind of frustrated by it. I did a 10th stitch over this lighter shade in the word flower, and here I'm not really wild about it. So I might pull that out and just find a color that shows up more. The other thing, I think I started to put some birds in. I have some butterflies left to do. I did tear out the tree, even though it still kind of looks like a shoe to me, a boot. But I think this color is much more in keeping with the other colors used. So since spring is really over with, I think that's going to go in my to be finished next year. It won't take much to finish this up. And I still have summer left to do in this series, so maybe I'll move on to that instead. A little while ago, I talked about how I just couldn't get 36 count. And so I thought, oh, I'll give it a whirl with something that's a smaller chart. I think the call for on this Where Liberty Dwells by Brenda Gervais was maybe 40 count. I'm like, well, we know if 36 is a problem, 40 will be even more of a problem. So I found a piece of 36 count tin rough, and I have to say, once I got the basic grid worked out of that house, I kind of like it. I have to admit that it is much slower stitching for me. Stitching 2/2 on 32 count, and it just seemed like so much thread. So maybe eventually I will adapt. Kathy of To Dye House and I are hosting a sale for After the Roses, an ink circle chart that came out at Nashville this year. I am stitching mine on 32 count Autumn by Under the Sea, I believe. And this is the progress I've made. I'm using all the called for colors, stitching 2/2. Kathy's fabric is a little bit more green, and she's subbed out with color she had. I think she's doing 1/2, just gorgeous, really, really pretty. If you'd like to join the sale, if you're stitching this, the sale hashtag is After the Roses SAL. But if you want to see Kathy's, go on Instagram, because hers is really, really pretty. The other thing I stitched last year that I'll just throw in there, I'm trying to think who this is by. If anybody wants to know, I'll look it up. But I'm envisioning making it some sort of a like bag, stand-up bag or something, using this fabric as backing. But I thought it'd be kind of fun to get that out now and try to get it finished up. So for Mania, for 20 days, I worked on Santa, the stocking, and at least an hour a day. And most days it was a lot more than an hour a day. I love that I made such great progress and also figured out a way that stitching it is much easier for me. So anyways, this is, I'm gonna look at what the name is before I hold it up. Holiday Glow Stocking. It's a dimensions kit. I'm kind of like getting the main areas in, and then I'll go up back and do some fill work. But look at, Santa has boots. It's so exciting. I mean, I should have looked at the chart because the boots are maybe 5 colors, so much easier than some of the other parts as far as shading and all that goes. So I was thrilled about that. Now we're going to move on to some of the things that I've been wanting to talk to you about. This is kind of funny. When Kathy and I started the sale for After the Roses, I showed it in my last video, and I needed to start it that night because the next day was May 1st, and I needed to get it started because I have no new starts for 20 days in May. So I had such a hodgepodge of filming that day and just got it done. I think I was tacking it onto another video, so it was maybe 2 videos ago. Anyways, I was looking then for my chart and my flosses fabric to start it. I looked low and I looked high. I mean, I must have looked for half an hour, and I thought, I just showed it in this room. Where can it be? Well, I didn't have the optimum setup. So I had my camera or my phone on a tripod sitting atop a big Little Tikes dollhouse, and finally, I don't know what possessed me, but I flipped the dollhouse around, and on the inside of the dollhouse was all my cross stitch stuff. So just a little lesson: if you're ever missing a chart, check the dollhouse. You just never know where it's going to turn up. I just thought I would show you also summertime. This is New York Dreamer and part of the wintertime, summertime, springtime series. So I know I probably just want to get some, I don't know, maybe some of the red and white ticking type fabric will work for this too, and probably just maybe a blue and white cord around the outside. Or my other thought was to get some cord that's more like the rope that would be around that life preserver. That could be kind of cute. So that brings us to the voting. Now don't get too excited, because I really appreciate all the comments you all gave me, and I'm trying to sit up straighter. My camera's bouncing around. That you all gave me. I got great advice on stitching 1/1, including getting directed to a couple tutorials, which was awesome. And whoa, what was my other question? Can't remember right now, but I know also got some helpful hints on that one. the main thing I was looking for was I had 9 fabric choices for springtime, and I don't know, I think close to 200 people wrote in with their suggestions. By far there was one fabric that probably everybody said use that one. Here's my official voting document. So we went from a low of 5, which was the check fabric, and I really meant to have the fabric so you could look at them again, but I put them all away. This fabric was by far I don't know, it got like close to 200 votes, and some people voted for more than one fabric. What I failed to explain or show, which I should have, I referred to that I wanted the pillow to be finished similar to wintertime. So I wanted to show you wintertime again. And I see both Dina and Lori are stitching this in memory of Leanne, so that's so awesome. So basically, you see the front stitch. It's not until you flip it around that you see the back. And this is kind of funny. Well, I found it funny. But when we made the tutorial for wintertime, I didn't stuff mine quite well enough. And then when I brought it back to show the next video or something, we were looking at it and Leanne's like, oh, you should open that up and put a little more stuffing in. And I'm like, oh yeah. And then, as she would always do, she had such a kind heart, she said, do you want me to fix it for you? And I'm like, sure. You know, that's how she was. Very giving person. And I knew if she did it, it would get done a lot quicker than if I did it. So she took it and fixed it and gave it back to me. Well, I hauled this out this year, and I wanted to kind of see how much of a margin she left and all that sort of thing. And I'm like, huh, what's this black stuff in the corner? I don't know if you can see that or not, if it's getting blurred. But it turns out it's her initials and the day. So when she gave me mine back, she accidentally gave me hers. And I think she had gifted hers, which was actually mine, to her sister-in-law. So I'll have to see if she wants to swap, so she has the sentimental value of the real one. But there, I'm getting off tangent. So anyways, this was by clear numbers the winner. But what I didn't mention was that it was only going to show on the back. And when I held up, I tea-dyed or coffee-dyed the seam binding, I just really didn't necessarily like that on that. So I pulled out my floral, which was, let's see, it was the bronze winner. It was number 3. And I kind of like simulated how this would look with just, I'm not going to do as tight a ruffle. And I really don't think the camera really picks up the blue color in there too accurately. It looks a lot darker than it shows in real life. But since it's not going to show from the front at all, I'm going to go with this. So I hope no one gets mad at me for wasting their time, but that's how I am. When I'm finishing, I get like choices narrowed down, and then I have to go back and look again and think, you know, look at the things you're narrowing out, some choices, and and thinking about things differently. If I was going to be putting this on the front, this would have been the definite winner, because the colors, I mean, the floral I think is much too busy. It competes with the stitching, and you want your stitching to really be the main focus. Speaking of Leanne, she entrusted me with a whole box of FFOs, and she knew I'd finish them, but the thought of like doing them all, because there are quite a few, just seems a little overwhelming. So I was thinking about this the other day, and I think it's going to be my plan to try to do one a month, and that should be doable. So she had stitched, this is a blackbird, and it's in that book that they reprinted. I know if you go on Instagram, you can see this stitch. But anyways, in with it, on top, she had this fabric, and I'm like, well, she must have planned to make a pillow. So I have it all ready to start stitching, and this is one of the cording that I made yesterday. I think that'll be kind of pretty with it. And I looked back at how she did her waxy moon pillows, and I think I'm going to try to follow that. So that's my plan, but you know, plans can change, and I'm just going to try to make the best of it. So I've got, so sorry that springtime is not done, but I will work on that probably next. But I do have two finishes. I think this is, it's either Little House Needleworks or Country Cottage Needleworks, and I think it's Country Cottage, but it's Beach, and I have that one done. I subbed out the Petite Maison for a color that was a little bit more blue. I think I changed maybe some of the flower colors too. But I used one of the choices from Springtime as my backing fabric and just made a little flat fold. I love flat folds. This is Vonna's technique, and then just put a little bow on it. And this is going to be a gift, oops, for friends that invited us to stay with them in Cayman Islands. So, you know, I thought, well, a flat fold's good because you can stick it, you know, on your windowsill or somewhere, and it's not real obtrusive. Then, my final FO for the evening, Where Liberty Dwells. Oh no. No. Souvenir, oh, here. Oh my. It's been, I could say it's been a week, it's been a month, it's been a year. Souvenirs of the Heart, Star Spangled Spectacular, with thy needle and thread. I love this as soon as I saw it. This was another market release. Wow. I just, instead of doing a flat fold, I thought, you know, most likely I'm going to have this propped on my little shelf. So I just did it as a flat, no fold. Basically, this is a padded piece, and then the stitching is on a padded piece. And then I did a second larger square with the coordinating fabric, and then just glued them together and put cording. I think most of this is like on Vonna's tutorials. So you'll notice that mine looks a little different than the chart. Well, I'm stitching away, and when I went to put my flowers in the basket, realized my flag was down way too low. And I don't know how many of you would have torn out the flag, but I wasn't going to. So I decided I would make one less of the V's on the side and rather put some stars there. And then I took out the stems of the flowers and just made my own little version, just to give it a little bit more distance between the flag and the bouquet. But honestly, I think it's really cute, and I don't care that I made a mistake. It's, you know, I'm doing me. I used a different color floss for the house, barn, whatever that thing is. The dwelling, let's call it a dwelling. So, but I'm very happy with how it turned out, and it's nice to have something new for summer to have out on that shelf. Well, I did get my hair trimmed yesterday, so that was exciting. I didn't get yelled at for cutting my bangs. I didn't get my highlights yet, so the color is a little bit to be desired, but that's how it goes. Next appointment. I was thinking about it, and it's like, since like this got a little bit longer, a lot of times at night if I have my May guys on, I'm like wearing them like a headband. In fact, the one night I went outside to water my flowers, and you forget you have them on, and so like this is all pulled back by the May guys. I'm like, well, it works as a headband. I'm sorry that I cut off my face for, you know, part of it. I guess I should have a taller chair here. Not quite sure. I think I have my tripod up higher than I did maybe my last time, but I'll get the tweaks worked out one way or another. But I guess that's all I have to say. And only did I start one new chart after my mania ended on the 20th of May, and that was the little patriotic one, Where Liberty Dwells. I just was like enjoying stitching on my existing things, so I thought, you know, why bother? I do have a couple more patriotic things that I'm supposed to get from 123 Stitch, which keeps getting delayed and delayed and delayed. The only reason I had a gift certificate from Christmas to use, and so that's why I was shopping there. Some of them, one of the things is the buttons for the little bulb stitch that I was working on, so I'm anxious to get that so I can get that finished and thrown up on the shelf for next spring. I kind of feel like summer's in full bloom. The gardens are beautiful, the grass is growing like crazy, and I planted quite a few flowers. Got to a little local greenhouse that had a really nice selection, and in the effort to social distance and shop quick, I ended up like throwing things in there that I probably would have looked at under normal circumstances and maybe, you know, taken one of the three instead of three. But it's all good. Hopefully my pots will fill in, and well, they look good already. So had a thunderstorm last night, so that's always good for the flowers. Dug up some bleeding hearts and passed those out to my family, so that kind of thinned out my perennial bed a little bit. I have red and white ones, so it's kind of fun, but they start to take over things after a while. Usually people welcome people in the beginning, but if you're sticking around this long, I want to say thank you. I've had quite a few new subscribers, which is so awesome. You guys can't believe how much I appreciate it. In fact, I'm getting really close to the 5,000 mark, which was something Leanne really wanted to accomplish and always was joking about. So I really hope that happens someday, and we'll have a great giveaway if it does. Maybe even some of her charts, something to recognize how she built this channel, and no matter what, is always with me. So do the best you can, and be, as the song says, be brave and strong and true, and fill the world with love your whole life through. Bye.